Lesson 610, using a half circle protractor. Because this will be the first time you've actually used a half circle protractor, I'm going to have you come back to me at the table and I'm going to show you how to use it since we will be unable to really walk through it here on the computer. So you have a choice. You may come back now, pause the recording, and I can show you how to use a half circle protractor, or after the mental math and fluency that you see displayed on your screen, you may come back and I will walk you through it. If you're coming back to me now, pause the recording. How do you write 2/10 as a decimal? Well, you should know by now that 2 needs to go in the tenth spot, and that is the first place value to the right. So we write it 0.2. How do I write 5/10? Pretty much the same way, only I have a 5 in the tenth spot. Now let's reverse it. How do you write 9/10 as a fraction? 9 goes on top and tenths goes in the bottom. 9/10. And finally, 6/10. How do I write that as a fraction? I hope you realize 6 goes on the top and tenths goes on the bottom. If you didn't pause the recording earlier so I could show you how to use a protractor, I want you to come back now so I can show you how to use that half protractor. What you see here is my attempt to draw straight lines to draw an angle that measures less than 90 degrees. Notice that I drew the line in here to make sure you knew where I was measuring. What is a less than 90 degree angle called? An acute angle. It's going to be fairly hard for you to complete math message problems on journal page 215 unless you have walked back and had me show you how to use the half circle protractor. So it's a good reminder right now for you to take the time to do that. So again, if you haven't, pause the recording now and come back to me. If you have, continue on with the recording. My questions for you are, what angle measures between 0 and 90 degrees? What is the name of that angle? I hope you're remembering that an acute angle measures between 0 and 90 degrees. What type of angle measures exactly 90 degrees? You also should know that a right angle measures exactly 90 degrees. What type of angle measures between 90 degrees and 180 degrees? Here again, you should realize that an obtuse angle measures between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. And finally, what type of angle measures exactly 180 degrees? That is called a straight angle. It is a complete straight line. You're going to need to do Math Journal page 216. It says that you're going to be drawing angles. So I'm going to read the directions here to you aloud while you read them silently. And it says, use a straight edge to draw the following angles. Do not use a protractor. So we want you to just use something with a straight edge. Okay? I want you to draw any angle that measures less than 90 degrees and label it A. For angle B, I want you to draw an angle that measures more than 90 but less than 180. And for angle C, I want you to draw an angle that measures exactly a 180. Remember, the angle that measures less than 90 degrees is called acute angle. One that measures more than 90 but less than 180 is called an obtuse angle. An exactly 180 angle is called a straight angle. Finally, at the bottom of this page, it says write whether the angle is acute or obtuse. Those are your only two options. And then measure it as accurately as you can and write it on the line. Pause the recording now, finish page 216, and when you've completed it, please bring it up to me so that I can check to make sure that you did it correctly. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I kind of misspoke there. That was the directions for page 215 that I was reading. That is the assessment check that you need to have brought up to me. If you haven't done so, please do bring it up to me. Complete that page. Next, you're going to do Math Journal page 216. That's telling you to draw angles. Remember, we're practicing using that half protractor. And it says draw a 35-degree angle using ray GH as one of its sides. So what you're going to do is line up the points, so the dot in the middle of it, measure approximately 35 degrees, and then you're going to draw it and connect it. I'm not doing so great there. And make sure you put where you measured. On page 216, problem 2 says, draw a 150-degree angle using ray CD as one of its sides. It'd probably be best if you did it kind of up, out, over this direction. Because that way, when you draw a 60-degree angle using ray EF as one of its sides, you're going to be able to draw upward. And for number 4, it says draw a 15-degree angle. Again, use ray E, AB. Again, if you did the other ones the way I suggested, this one will go up this direction, and you will easily be able to draw them. For the final one, number 5, it asks you to draw a 330-degree angle using ray IJ as one of its sides. You're probably going to want to measure around this way and have your ray going up somewhere in this direction. Pause the recording now, draw your angles, and then go back to the Math Journal answer key and check them. If you did them incorrectly, please come back and see me. Next, you're going to do Math Journal page 217. Read the boxes to yourself as I read them out loud. If you don't need me to read them to you, please pause the recording now and go ahead and finish Math Journal page 217 and correct it with the Math Journal answer key. It says, name the multiples of 8 from 1 through 80. Wow, this should be a quick review for you. If it's multiples of 8, you should know right away the first number you start with is 8, because 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 3 times 8 is 24. Finish writing the rest of the multiples up through 80. Number 2 says, Joe and Ed each sold 24 raffle tickets. Joe got a point for every 4 raffle tickets he sold. Ed got a point for every 3 raffle tickets he sold. How many more points did Ed receive than Joe? Well, you're going to need to do your number model first, and then you're going to need to find the true answer. This one's a little bit trickier. This one is telling you that Joe had 24 raffle tickets, and he got a point for every 4. Ed also had 24 raffle tickets, but he got a point for every 3. It says, how many more points did Ed, this was Ed, remember, maybe you should label that, have than Joe? And notice it says, with an unknown. So we're going to put P as the unknown for points. Finish that problem before you go on to number 3. Number 3 states, Divide the number line into fourths and label the fractions. Remember, whenever you're doing a number line, you might want to get out a ruler, find where halfway between this 0 line and this 1 is, and mark that half first. And then cut it the rest of the way into fourths. For Math Journal, box 4, it says add these fractions together. And for number 5, it tells you to plot the data and answer the question. I see a lot of students struggling in this who have come to me and are working ahead. What you want to do is, when you find something and you want to plot, you want to find the lowest number, the one that had the shortest length. So I'm going to look. 23, 23, 23, 22, 22, 21, and 3/4 looks like it's my lowest number. So what I would do is, I would mark this. This is where I'm going to mark 21 and 3/4. How many 21 and 3/4 numbers did I have? I had 1, 2. So every number I have, I'm going to put an X. I had 1, 2. Well, as I look, I notice that the next number that I'm going to do is 22 and 1/4. Well, I'm not just going to jump to 22 and 1/4. I can tell that I could go up by fourths, so I'm going to make this the number 22. Even though there aren't any 22, it's going to make for a nicer plot line. What's next? 22 and 1/4. So I write that down. How many X's do I need at 22 and 1/4? 1, 2, I guess I only need 2. 1, 2. If I go up 1/4 again, my number here is going to be 22 and 1/2. How many do I have at 22 and 1/2? Oh, 1. Just 1 this time. If I go up again by another 1/4, I got 22 and 3/4. I have 1, just 1 again. Even though I notice my last number is 23 and 1/4, I'm not just going to put that here. I'm going to keep going up by 1/4, so my next number would be 23, and my final number would be 23 and 1/4. And I notice that I have 1, 2, 3 of those. So I would draw my X's here. What's the title? Well, I would probably put board links needed, or something to that effect here on the line. And here's the word need, and you just got to put an ED at the end, and I would put that as my third words. First word, board, no S. Links, second word, needed with an ED. That would be my title. And what possibly would be my label down here? Well, what are these? These are the links, so I would put links in. Are they in feet? No. These are the links in inches. And if you're asking me, well, Ms. Hargraff, how do you know they're links in inches? I'm going to refer you back up to the top to right here where it says in inches. Finish Math Journal, page 217. Then go up to the answer key and correct it. Again, if you have any problems or don't understand it, come find me and I'll help you. Your final instruction for lesson 610 is for you to do Math Masters, page 243. So go to the file, pull out Math Masters, page 243, and it simply states estimate whether the angle measures are more or less than 90 degrees. And you're going to put that estimate, your guess here, in these boxes. And then use the half circle protractor to measure them. That's what you're doing for all of those. You need to finish Math Masters, page 243, and then bring it up to me so I can check it. That's exactly what the directions tell you. And at the bottom, you are going to be adding. Thank you.